You're watching Alaska's news source.
We start tonight with powerful video from Kipnuk. Watch as a shipping container hits a home as the western Alaska is hit by a major storm.
God, now it's going the other way.
High water and strong winds as troopers are trying to confirm secondhand reports of at least 24 fellow Alaskans missing. Homes in western Alaska are not standing up to the conditions former Typhoon Halong brought into Alaska overnight and into today. This video shows some of what people are fighting against as the storm pummels villages and towns. The Kuskokwim Delta region taking the brunt of the impact so far. It's one of the most difficult storms people in western Alaska have seen. The Department of Public Safety says at least 8 homes in that area were pushed from their foundations. We have team coverage tonight, including a crew live in Nome. We start first with Justin Matson, who has details on the search and rescue efforts. Justin.
Yeah, Michaela, Alaska state troopers have received secondhand reports that at least 24 people are unaccounted for in Kipnuk and Quig-Ilingok. The agency is trying to get troopers to those communities to confirm these reports. A multi-agency search and rescue mission is happening today. They are using an aircraft to search for the missing people. More than a dozen agencies are responding to the situation. Michaela?
And Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry is tracking the storm from Nome. Melissa, it looks like the wind is still pretty strong there.
Yeah, certainly breezy out here, Michaela. Nothing like it was, though, just a couple hours ago. We couldn't even stand here on Front Street in Nome. It's been really interesting to experience this storm here from this area. It all started about 2 o'clock this morning. We were all woke up by rain pounding the window, and then it got a little eerie about sunrise. We were in the center of the storm, calm conditions. The wind died down, even saw blue sky. But then when that backside of the storm came whipping through, about lunchtime, that's when we knew the rest of the storm was moving through. Really did feel like a former typhoon with those high winds. And as strong as it's been here this afternoon, nothing like what we've seen here to the south. Again, as you've seen those videos, again, of the YK Delta region just experiencing devastating flooding there today. I did speak with one family this morning that was actively floating away from their village. Here's their story. Extreme wind. And water where it shouldn't be. From Bethel to Kipnuk and everywhere in between as the former Typhoon Halong tears a path across the Bering Sea.
I put on my sandals and I noticed there's water on the floor and I called my sister right away.
Tamura Paul woke up to water on the floor of her home and soon realized she and her daughters were in trouble.
We are kind of far from the river and the flood usually doesn't hit us.
I was able to reach her by phone as her home wasn't just flooding, but floating downriver.
I was sleeping during the storm and I woke up to messages from my sister. She just said that my house was floating away.
Sending pleas for help on social media as the house rocked.
Do you know how it sounds to be on a boat?
Yeah.
In waves?
Yeah.
Sounds like that.
Oh my goodness.
She reminds her girls they are going to be okay, but need help to come soon as they suspect they are now miles from home.
We're good, we're scared, but we're good. I keep telling them we're breathing. We're still breathing, we're alive.
And just to the north, the village of Chifornik also flooding. You can see the water tearing through the village, taking anything with it as the high winds continue. From the coast to the river, even further inland, buildings couldn't hold up to the wind. That was a window shattered by flying debris at David Miller's home in a village just north of Bethel. He said he also lost his shed and likely more. But the concern from families who can't reach their loved ones is everyone accounted for. The National Guard is actively doing search and rescue operations now to make sure.
We're just actively in a response phase. We're search and rescue, life, health, safety, making sure that people are getting out of those situations, and we're doing everything we can to support them.
In Nome, as the winds increase, operation specialists with the state are responding to needs here, while also concerned about those to the south.
Our hearts go out to everyone affected. This is a really scary moment for a lot of people. There's so much at play, so much damage.
Lucio says first, be safe. Call 911 if you need help. But if you can, also document the damage.
If you do have damages to your home, please capture that in photographs, collect all important documentation. That's especially important in the recovery phase that comes after this.
It's been a tough day for these Alaskans, and the extent of the damage is still not fully known as the storm continues its path, now across the Seward Peninsula. Melissa Fry, Alaska's news source. Now, unfortunately, I've yet to hear back from the Paul family. I know their battery power was dying, and hopefully they're getting help. But the very next call I made was to the National Guard, and they assured me that they were sending help there to the Kotlik area, and that they did know where that family and the others that were displaced were. So hopefully that's the case, and hopefully we'll be able to report on that shortly. Now, as for the conditions here in Nome, again, the wind not nearly as strong at this hour, but you can see this afternoon really whipping here across the city. Those wind gusts more than 50 miles per hour for several hours. Roof panels coming up, power lines swaying, and the Bering Sea getting rougher and higher by the moment. Now, despite responding to some needs and power outages here in town, emergency officials tell me they're thankful that it hasn't been worse, but they have learned from past storms and they are ready if needed.
We definitely have been more proactive than reactive in this storm case. Everybody seemed to come together. We spooled up the EOC. We were watching the weather. We involved NOAA Weather Service out of Fairbanks. They kind of guided us through, and it's just been all hands on deck, just getting ready, equipment ready, just in case that it did hit us as bad as it did for Murbach. So we were prepared more this time around.
And we do still have some time to know, of course, how high the water is going to get tonight, but these winds calming down and the storm shifting east, certainly a help to folks here in Nome. Now, Bailey Braun has been tracking the storm there from the Weather Center, and Bailey, it sure feels like at least those winds have probably shifted further to the north. Bailey?
Yeah, Melissa, the good news is that the worst of this storm is pretty much over. We're still going to experience some of those high water levels as well as that storm surge. But just looking at our graphics, you can already see that the center of that storm is already moving north into the North Slope. And then by tonight and early into Monday morning, that's already going to push out into the Beaufort Sea. So we're already going to start to see some alleviating effects from this storm moving through. And you can just see Monday morning, it's already looking much drier and much clearer in Nome and along the western coast. So that is the good news, is that the worst is pretty much over in terms of that rainfall and that really heavy wind. We're still going to continue to see some of those stronger wind gusts, but as Melissa was pointing out, we're not going to see as strong of wind gusts as what we did see earlier today and overnight. Now, with our coastal flooding, we're actually going to see just about 1 to 3 feet less of that water height. So earlier today, we saw in Unalakleet that we were actually about 8 to 11 feet of high water, but now that's dropped to about 7 to 9 feet, and that's also dropped in Hooper Bay and some of those other areas, including Kotzebue. So the water level is starting to begin to recede. It's still going to be a threat, and you should treat it as a threat, but it is going to start to drop off into Monday. So that is the good news. These wind gusts today have been pretty strong. We already saw the damage in Kipnuk, which is truly devastating, but those winds in Nome have been receding just a little bit. Kotzebue is pretty much the next focus as of this moment in time, and then it's going to start to move through Utqiagvik, but the effects in Utqiagvik are not going to be nearly as devastating as what the rest of the western portion of Alaska has seen. So even with our expected rainfall, you can see that we're already drying out in western Alaska, and that's part of the good news. So just stay hopeful, make sure you stay safe going into tonight. But yeah, Michaela?
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.